Good evening, friends. Welcome to another edition of the Media Foundation IIC Media Dialogues. This is part of a series of panel discussions that the Media Foundation holds in association with the India International Center on an important subject related to the media in the country. The dialogues held in the recent past include such topics as the electoral rolls controversy and the media Operation Sindoor and India's diplomatic outreach, challenges confronting the Indian language media, new criminal codes and media laws and their impact on media freedom, and so on. Today's topic is From Kingmaker to Bystander. Is the media still a force in Indian elections? The question arises especially in light of the recently concluded assembly polls in Bihar, where news media and what they reported seem to have little impact on and relation to the outcome of the elections. To discuss and analyze this issue, we have an outstanding panel with us today. But before I proceed to introduce our panelists, please allow me to say a few words about the Media Foundation. The Media Foundation is a non-profit which was set up in 1979 in the aftermath of the emergency with the aim of upholding freedom of speech in the media. It was founded by such doyens of Indian journalism as B.G. Verghese, N.S. Jagannathan, Ajit Bhattacharjee, Kuldeep Nair, Arun Shourie, and many others. Apart from the media dialogues, TMF also conducts 3 prestigious journalism awards: the Chameli Devi Jain Award for Outstanding Woman Journalist of the Year, the Kamla Mankekar Award for Journalism on Gender, and the Vishwanath Delhi Press Award for Fearless Journalism. May I now introduce our distinguished panelists and request them to please come on stage. You can go ahead. We are very privileged to have with us Rajdeep Sardesai, who definitely needs no introduction, award-winning journalist and news anchor. Rajdeep was managing editor NDTV 24/7 and editor-in-chief of CNN, IBN, and several other channels in the Network 18 group. Currently consulting editor with India Today TV. He has also authored a number of books, the most recent being The Election That Surprised India, published in 2024. Rajdeep, please take your seat on the dais. Also honored to have with us today Senior Congress leader Pawan Khera. Mr. Khera is chairman of the Media and Publicity Department of the All India Congress Committee and serves as a spokesperson for the party as well. Welcome, Mr. Khera. Also on the panel is Poornima Joshi. Poornima is resident editor of the Hindu Business Line in Delhi. She writes on political economy, mainstream politics, and law. She's been covering these areas for various publications, including Hindustan Times, Indian Express, Outlook, The Telegraph, Mail Today, and Caravan in a career spanning 30 years. We also have with us Jitendra Kumar. Currently a consultant with The Hindu, Jitendra worked in the print and electronic media for nearly 2 decades. He was associate editor Dainik Bhaskar. Later, he worked with Greenpeace India as its senior media officer. Jitendra is also an accomplished translator. He has translated several books from English to Hindi, including Arundhati Roy's Algebra of Infinite Justice, Ashutosh Vashni's Battle Half Won, and Nandini Sundar's Subalterns and Sovereigns. We are also honored to have Professor Satish K. Jha of the Department of Political Science at Aryabhatta College, University of Delhi. Professor Jha is a political analyst and a widely published author and columnist. He also serves on the editorial board of Contemporary South Asia, published by the Taylor and Francis Group in association with the British Association for South Asian Studies. Moderating the discussion today is TMF. Yes. Moderating the discussion today is TMF chairperson Bharat Bhushan, once again someone who needs no introduction. A journalist for over 4 decades, Bharat was founding editor of Mail Today, executive editor of Hindustan Times, and editor of The Telegraph in Delhi. Thank you. Over to you, Bharat.
Thank you, Shuma. Good evening and welcome. You already know the topic of the discussion. There was a time when media was seen as the kingmaker in politics, especially in propping up politicians in their campaigns. That does not seem to be the case any longer. So you would say, when was, as somebody asked me earlier, when was the media ever a kingmaker? So I said, what was VP saying? When VP Singh left Rajiv Gandhi, he had 3 more people with him. I think Arif Mohammad Khan, Arun Nehru, and Satpal Malik. And yet he went on to sweep the election. He was, in a sense, a media creation because the media didn't understand what the HDW submarine deal was or what Bofors was all about. Similarly, who knew Kejriwal till the media propped him up as the person who's fighting the establishment, common man versus establishment, and corruption cases which were non-existent. And of course, the CAG who talked of that corruption got amply rewarded by the government that came into power afterwards. And where was Mr. Modi? He was also a media creation in 2013, 2014, propped up through a huge media campaign. And I'm not saying that it was a paid campaign. The media actually projected him as somebody who was who was embodiment of decisive leadership and development. So VP Singh was Raja nahi fakir hai, desh ki takdeer hai, and a new fakir who says he has a jhola, which he spreads each time in an election for votes and then runs away with them. He was called the development man, and media created all this. So there was a time, therefore, we could talk of waves in favor of a particular leader or a wave in favor of a particular party. We could even predict election outcomes, more or less. Now it seems that the media has lost its political edge or its insightfulness. See how the media made mistakes in Haryana election, Maharashtra election, to some extent in the Bihar election. People might say that in Bihar election we said NDA has an edge. Now, I don't know whether that was out of conservativeness and saying that, I don't want to be proven wrong in case the Mahagathbandhan wins, or whether it was necessarily based on ground reporting and some knowledge. So why is the media today struggling to provide insights on the public mood? And is it in any way still affecting the public mood? Is it making citizens better citizens, more informed citizens? Because that's the role of the fourth estate. Otherwise, why are you the fourth pillar? You could be anything, 20th pillar or 2000th pillar. So are you doing that? And why is this happening? So is it fragmentation of the media? Silent voters refusing to talk to journalists? Media being reactive to digital trends and not doing, the mainstream media not doing its own homework? Delhi-centric narratives being completely at odds with what's happening in the regions and locally, the ground reality there? Or rapid swing factors, which slow media cycles are unable to capture? So these are the questions we would be addressing this evening. I don't want to come between you and these distinguished guests. So we will start this discussion. I would request the participants to speak about 4 to 5 minutes in the first round. And then we'll have a second round where, again, you can speak for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then you would like to have questions from the floor, because that's what this is all about discussions. So may I start with you, Poornima? You can say whatever you want, but I want to ask you, has the media shifted from being a kingmaker to a bystander? Is it because of monopoly, its monopoly over shaping narratives has been broken? The mainstream media's monopoly has been broken by digital platforms, political control of the narrative, and audience fragmentation. So there was a time when newspapers and TV channels were the primary modes of political messaging. That is no longer the case. Is that why what we call mainstream media that operates through certain journalistic principles compared to certain social media platforms, is that what is preventing the media from assessing the public mood?
I don't necessarily agree with you, Bharat. I think
you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think media is still very powerful, very potent. From the time of what was Arvind Kejriwal and Anna Hazare. After all, he was a creation of the media, isn't it? We created him. He rode a wave. He became chief minister. AAP was created. That was all largely owing to the media hype. We covered him 24 hours a day. But having said that, I feel that we are very, very, very potent, except that we are not really doing our job. You take the drum beating around the prime minister and the ruling party for a month, and let us focus on issues that we would cover regularly. We covered 2G, CWG, we covered coal scam, we wrote endlessly about Manmohan Singh being an ineffective prime minister, all of which were relevant stories. But how many of these stories are actually being done, except, this polarized discourse where some people are branded as these dissenters, forever dissenters, and they talk about these issues, but we don't really cover them as mainstream media. I mean, even a story like the SEBI's inaction on Mr. Adani and his manipulation of the stock market, the round tripping that was done. We didn't do those stories unless it was broken by this short seller. And even then, we got dragged into it somehow. I've heard very experienced market reporters saying, what is it so different that Mr. Adani is doing that not every industrialist in India does? And, as if it was completely normalized. And we did it because the US Justice Department got involved. There was various strands of that story. And we left it as soon as it got done. I mean, there were not too many follow-ups of that story. We are not doing our job, but that doesn't really mean that media is not powerful. It's just that media has decided to do reporting in a certain way, I feel. I mean, that we are not predicting elections properly. I mean, predicting elections is not really a gauge of, how effective or ineffective media is. I mean, after all, Bihar elections was more or less predicted all right by the media. I mean, we may have gone wrong in Haryana, but that happens, But overall, if you look at the media's role, we don't really do the kind of stories that need to be done. I mean, like in 2024, I remember, we are a small niche publication, business publication of the Hindu. And we were doing some election coverage on the side with me pulling in various reporters. And I asked the agriculture correspondent to look at 2 rounds of elections had been done. And I said, just look at the voter turnout percentage and match them with the actual number of voters in a particular constituency. And he came back after 2 days and he said, these data are not available on the Election Commission website. So we trolled through the thing, and they had updated the data till about 7 p.m. in the first 2 rounds, and they had not released the data, which they used to do for every round. They would not tell us how many voters are there in a constituency and how many of them have actually voted. So we did that story. It was, even though, I mean, this is why I'm saying media is still relevant. Our small publication, we did that story. It got followed up by everybody. It had a kind of impact. And Election Commission first denied it, and then 2-3 days later they updated the data on the website. So I'm saying consistently we are not doing the kind of stories that need to be done. We are not being the watchdog for the people that we used to. That I feel is the issue. I mean, doesn't have to do with journalists per se. I mean, that's a larger discourse about media ownership and who owns us and corporate ownership and so on. But that's not a discussion we're having right now, right? So media is very, very potent. That's why the government has such a huge control over it. I mean, our Prime Minister continues to be the most popular leader. The BJP is so powerful, and they are so clever. They're master strategists. We don't stop beating their drum. They're actually not that clever. I mean, they know the carrot and stick. They do these things with bullying and cajoling, and we know, and they're successful. But it's not so difficult to guess why it is happening. It's happening because we are being bullied, we are being taken over, and the kind of stories that media should be doing, we are not doing them, right? So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Poornima. In the first round, that's more than enough. I agree with you that predicting elections should not be the only measure, I would say, of success of the media. But the media also can't say that Mr. Modi is getting 440 seats and then he doesn't get a majority. So it should be one of the criteria. It may not be the only one.
Not
Okay.
all of us said it.
Okay. And not media not being a watchdog, I agree with you. But we'll come to all these things in the second round. So, जितेंद्र जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आपको क्या लगता है कि पत्रकार जनता के मूड का आकलन क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, और ख़ास तौर पर बिहार चुनाव में जो हुआ उसके बारे में आप क्या सोचते हैं? आप खुद 65 निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों में गए, मैं आपसे लगातार बात कर रहा था उन दिनों. क्या आप स्वयं जनता के मूड का आकलन कर पाए, और नहीं कर पाए तो क्यों नहीं कर पाए?
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका कि आपने हमको यहाँ बुलाया. एक मशहूर फिल्म है, शायद आप सब लोगों ने वो फिल्म देखी होगी, गोलमाल. तो उसमें उत्पल दत्त कहते हैं कि तुम उससे प्रेम नहीं करोगी, उससे तुम शादी नहीं करोगी जिससे तुम प्रेम करती हो, तुम उससे शादी करोगी जिससे मैं प्रेम करता हूँ. वो अपनी बेटी से कहता है. तो मीडिया लिखना तो चाहता है लेकिन उसको लिखने नहीं देता है वो. और मैं जब कह रहा था कि मैं मतलब 18 दिन में से 14 दिन 7-8 ज़िलों में मैं कई कंस्टिट्यूंसी में घूमा, तो मैं जातीय समीकरण को समझता हूँ बिहार में कि कैसे काम करता है, कैसे टूट रहा है, कैसे जुड़ रहा है. और वहाँ के लोकल किसी भी अखबार को आप उठा के देखिए. मैं देख रहा था सारे अखबार, जागरण देख रहा था जो हार्डकोर राइट विंग है, भास्कर देख रहा था थोड़ा सा अलग अलग पोजीशन लेता है, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान है. सारे अखबार के लोकल रिपोर्टिंग को देखें तो कोई ऐसी जगह नहीं होती थी जहाँ रूलिंग पार्टी के कैंडिडेट्स के साथ, रूलिंग पार्टी के जो मंत्री हैं उनके साथ बदतमीजी नहीं हो रही थी, उनको जूते के माले नहीं पहनाए जा रहे थे, उनके ऊपर टमाटर नहीं फेंका जा रहा था. बहुत कम ऐसी जगह, चाहे तो कहीं नहीं पूछा जा रहा था. लेकिन अगर वो आदमी जीतता है तो 40,000 से जीत गया चुनाव, वो आदमी 45,000 से जीत गया चुनाव. ये मुझे आश्चर्यचकित करता है. और जब मैं चाय की दुकान पर बैठ के, फिर वो किसान से बात करके, उनसे जगह जगह जब मैं बात कर रहा था, कुछ और बातें कर रहा था, तो स्थिति बिल्कुल अलग सी दिख रही थी. अब एक दो उदाहरण नहीं है, मतलब कई ऐसे उदाहरण हैं. तो जो लोग राहुल गांधी ने इसे कहा कि वोट चोरी, जब मैं वहाँ तक नहीं गया था तब तो वोट चोरी लग रहा था. एक्चुअली वो वोट चोरी नहीं है, वोट बढ़ोतरी या वोट जोड़ी का मामला था. कि अगर जैसे मेरे नाम काट दिए गए और मैंने अपना आधार कार्ड फलाना कुछ पेश किया, वोटर आई कार्ड पुराना पेश किया, तो मेरा नाम जुट जा रहा था. लेकिन जहाँ 100 एक्स्ट्रा नाम जोड़े गए, वो आदमी है कौन? राकेश सिन्हा तो उसमें से 1-2 नाम थे जो अपना आरएसएस को खुश करने के लिए अपना नाम जोड़ दिखा दिया, ट्वीट कर दिया कि हम वहाँ भी वोट डालें. ऐसे हजारों नहीं लाखों नाम जोड़े गए. और संगठन कमज़ोर होने के चलते राजद जैसी पार्टियों के साथ दिक्कत ये है कि उसके समर्थक बहुत हैं, कैडर नहीं है. तो वो फोटो खिंचाना चाहता है तेजस्वी के साथ, लेकिन वो वोटर के साथ इंटरेक्ट करेगा, वो स्थिति उनकी नहीं है. तो इस परिस्थिति में वोट किसके जुड़ गए, अपने नाम तो उन्होंने जुड़वा लिया, अपने समर्थकों के जुड़वा लिए, लेकिन जो नए नाम जुड़े उसके बारे में पता ही नहीं कि नए नाम कौन थे. उनकी ये तैयारी नहीं थी कि पिछली बार जो मतलब इस कंस्टिट्यूंसी इस विधानसभा इस बूथ पर अगर 300 नाम हैं तो यहाँ पर 370 कैसे हो गए जबकि नाम कुछ हटे हैं. तो ये उनकी तैयारी नहीं थी. और तीसरा जो 10,000 रुपये का खेल था, वो बड़ा खेल था, उसको पूरी तरह मैं खारिज नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि जब मैं गया था छठ से पहले तो चुनावी प्रक्रिया शुरू हो गई थी. लेकिन चुनावी प्रक्रिया शुरू होने से 5-6 दिन पहले लगभग 40 महिलाओं के खाते में 10-10 हज़ार रुपये आए थे. मैं अपने गांव की बात कर रहा हूं. और लोगों में इस बात को लेके, खास करके महिलाओं में, पुरुष में भी नाराज़गी थी कि उन्हीं 40 महिलाओं को क्यों चुना गया, हमको क्यों नहीं मिला. बीच वोट में, वोटिंग के समय, मतलब शायद वो 27-28 तारीख को दूसरा किस्त आया, और उस पर वो लगभग 110 महिलाएं थी जितनी की जानकारी मुझे है. और 110 महिलाओं के और नाम जोड़ने के बाद तो बहुत कुछ बदल गया, क्योंकि तीसरा खेप 7 तारीख को आया पहले चुनाव के बाद, और वो लगभग 130 महिलाएं थी. तो और हमारे कंस्टिट्यूंसी में, मतलब जहां मैं वोटर नहीं हूं, फुलपरास, वहाँ 11 तारीख को चुनाव था। तो जब इतने महिलाओं को हुआ तो लगभग सारी महिलाओं को लगने लगा कि अगर ये वोट मैं इस सरकार को नहीं दूंगी, नीतीश कुमार को नहीं दूंगी, तो मेरा किस्त नहीं आएगा। तो ये तो काम किया, लेकिन सवाल ये है कि क्या मीडिया ने एक भी सवाल इनसे पूछा कि इलेक्शन कमीशन यह अनैतिक काम कैसे कर सकता है, चुनाव में पैसे देने की वो कैसे इजाज़त दे रहा है। और सबसे वहाँ मतलब चुनाव में तो ये सब चीज़ें थी, लेकिन जैसे मीडिया मतलब आपका है कि क्या मीडिया वो किंग मेकर है या तमाशाबीन हो गया है। एक्चुअली वो तमाशाबीन नहीं है, अभी भी किंग मेकर है, लेकिन अभी वो किसी के कहने पर किंग बनाता है। पहले जनता जो किंग बना रही होती थी उनके साथ वो देखता था जनता को कि ये जनता इनको किंग बनाना चाह रही है। अब जो कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेज या जो तय करता है उसी के अनुसार किंग तय होता है और मीडिया उसको बनाने में लग जाती है। हमारे समय की सबसे मशहूर लेखिका, मैं इस पर उनको कोट करना चाहूँगा, अरुंधति राय को, और उन्होंने कहा था कि मुद्दा यह है कि मीडिया कोई पर्यवेक्षक नहीं है और न मीडिया किसी फांसीवादी परियोजना का हिस्सा नहीं है, बल्कि मीडिया ही फांसीवाद परियोजना है और मीडिया उसको चलाता है। क्योंकि आप एक बार सवाल पूछिए मीडिया से कि एक भी मतलब पिछले 1.5 वर्षों से नीतीश के स्वास्थ्य को लेके नेशनल मीडिया डेली कुछ ना कुछ लिख रहा है कि वो चलने योग्य नहीं है, सोचने योग्य नहीं है, काम करने योग्य नहीं है, उनका दिमाग काम नहीं करता है, पता नहीं कौन सा इंजेक्शन लगता है, उसकी 6 घंटे ही ये होती है। जिस दिन 202 सीटें आई उस दिन मीडिया ने कहना शुरू किया युग पुरुष है। और एक सवाल जिसने कम से कम ये सवाल लिखा था, मतलब उस नैतिकता की बात करता हूँ, जिस जर्नलिस्टों ने लिखा था कि उनकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, क्या एक बार वो एक स्टोरी नहीं कर सकता था कि उनकी तबीयत का क्या हाल है, कैसे हैं वो। और रही तो इस पर वो नैतिकता पर तो मुझे सबसे मज़ेदार राग दरबारी का वो गया दिन वाली बात याद आती है, जब इनको सस्पेंड कर दिया जाता है खन्ना मास्टर को, और मालवीयों को लेके और बाबू रंगनाथ को लेके जब वो गया दिन सेठ के यहाँ पहुँचता है तो बड़ा तरह तरह से आर्गूमेंट करता है कि ये तो ठीक नहीं हुआ मेरे साथ, और मुझे निकाल दिया वैद्य जी ने, तो आप तो कुछ करिए क्योंकि आप बोर्ड में मेंबर हैं। तो उन्होंने कहा अरे उसमें क्या होता है कि बोर्ड में मेंबर हैं, कुछ नहीं होता इसमें, निकाल दिया, वैद्य जी की दुकान है, आप करिए जो करना हो, आपको चाहते हैं कि शिपालगंज में ना रहें तो चले जाइए, आप मेरे पास क्यों आए हैं। तो बोले अरे आपके पास तो इसलिए आया हूँ कि मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप कुछ बोलें मेंबर के रूप में। तो उन्होंने कहा कि अरे और आपकी नैतिकता कहाँ गई कि आप कुछ बोल नहीं रहे। तो उन्होंने खाट इधर कोने की तरफ इशारा किया, बोला कि देखिए ये जो है ना खन्ना मास्टर, देखो ये जो खाट जो है ना कोने में खड़ा हुआ खाट, नैतिकता वो खाट है जिसे जब चाहो बिछा लो, जब चाहो खड़े करके रख दो।
बहुत धन्यवाद जितेंद्र, बहुत अच्छा, आपकी एनालिसिस बहुत अच्छी थी और आपने सही सवाल पूछा कि मीडिया ने इलेक्शन कमीशन को या सरकार से जवाब तलबी क्यों नहीं की। लेकिन क्या मीडिया ने, आप कह रहे हैं आपने सारे अखबार पढ़े, क्या उन्होंने इसके बारे में लिखा? अगर डायरेक्टली नहीं पूछा तो लिखा तो सही कि नहीं लिखा, वो आप अगले राउंड में मुझे बताइएगा। और एक दूसरी बात आपने जो बहुत सटीक कही है वो ये है कि मीडिया जो है किंग मेकर अभी भी है, लेकिन कॉरपोरेट्स के कहने पे राजा बनाता है, जनता के कहने पे नहीं। तो बहुत धन्यवाद। और इसके साथ मैं अब पूछना चाहता हूँ प्रोफेसर झा से, क्योंकि वो एकेडमिक हैं। प्रोफेसर झा, क्या आपको लगता है, डू यू थिंक दैट द मीडिया इज अनेबल टू फोरकास्ट इलेक्शंस reliably because old tools of talking to taxi drivers or going to a tea shop, local notables, village pradhans, or even saying that I conducted a small opinion poll, none of this captures the fragmented, fast changing and digitally driven reality of Indian politics. Before anything happens, there are memes which are going viral. Mainstream media, TV can't chase them. So what methods do you use as a political scientist, which are different from that of the media? Because I've seen your writing, and you are able to predict things much better than the media does. So what do you do that we don't do, and what can we learn from you?
Yeah, thank you, Bharatji, for this invitation. In fact, you're right. I mean, the three things which were posed initially, that media as a kingmaker, the educative role of media, citizens, how they educate them, and as a fourth pillar of democracy. So media, of course, is facing a big crisis. But when we say media today, I mean, it's not a monolithic, structure. I mean, we have print media, you have electronic media, you have social media. And in Bihar election, I saw that all three of them performing different roles. And this print media, I will just start with the print media. In fact, I remember late Bharat Joshi. I perhaps heard him saying, or perhaps he wrote something in 90s. He said that he often used to do one thing in elections, that whenever he visited any state, he used to scan the local newspapers, and then some idea he said that he could develop kya chal raha hai. And then he suddenly said that 90s was the first experience he had, that he went to some state during assembly elections, scanned the local newspapers, and he didn't get any idea that what currents, undercurrents, overcurrents, what were there. And then he suddenly said that I started looking into this issue, and he discovered this new phenomenon called paid news. That there was paid news phenomenon, reports being planted by paying huge amount. So this paid news phenomenon came first, which took a heavy toll of the print media. And then, of course, I mean, Jitendra ji pointed out this ownership. That is there because, you need advertisement, ads, and then you have to go to the government. So you can't afford to antagonize whosoever is in the power. So therefore, I mean, your news has to be twisted. It can't be credible. You can't present the exact, situation prevailing on the ground. For example, in this election, most of the very, very respected, eminent journalists, they hit the ground. In fact, Rajdeep ji also saw him moving in different parts of Bihar. And he could only say that NDA has an edge. Now, this is no rocket science in Bihar to say that NDA has an edge. Because, triangular, I mean, the three poles of, political power in Bihar, whichever side Nitish aligns, and he knows his strength, that gets an edge. But this huge margin which happened, either it was this SIR or could be, the voting machine or something else, but there is something, I mean, the media failed to capture. We can blame exit poll because though they are pollsters, they take money and then they do it. But I mean, what is happening with this thing? That we can't get the pulse of the people. I mean, what I do personally, I mean, as you ask me, what I do, that normally I, see these YouTubers. There are, they have mushroomed all over. And what they do, that if you just listen to 5, 6, 10, 12, some of them cancel out each other. But in that process, you get some idea that what is happening. Right? That even if they are telling lies, but one lie, countering another lie, and in that process, you at least have some access to the truth. So that is one thing. The second thing is that this electronic media, I mean, normally you say Godi media. Of course, Godi media phenomenon is mostly in electronic media. Then also, in Bihar, people say there are two medias, Godi media and Morcha media. I said, what is this Morcha media? Because there is another media which we thought that would give some idea, the credible reporting, but they, Morcha maar liya hai. I mean, whatever truth exists, they will report in their own way. So, I mean, this is the problem, and this is a big issue, larger issue, and sometimes I am reminded that during freedom movement, why is it that most all eminent nationalist leaders had their own newspapers? Because they knew that this was the only way they could reach out to the people. So, I mean, these things are going to happen. It's a big crisis. Entire democracy is going to be redefined fundamentally in next few years. And media as a fourth pillar, I think, also has to, face that situation where this redefinition happens. I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping to the time. And I'm glad you talked about the power of advertisement and ad revenue. Even, I don't know what the figure is these days, but when I was in the newspaper business, 45% of or more of a newspaper's ad revenue comes from government classifieds. And if that ad revenue goes, most of these newspapers will collapse. I mean, they're already collapsing, and that revenue model is failing. But the power of ad revenue coming from the government and now from corporates, because there have been corporates which often on behalf of the government boycott certain TV channels or boycott certain newspapers. So that's a very, very powerful influence. On Bihar, you said NDA had an edge structurally because of caste alignments, but margins remain inexplicable, even in your analysis, right? Rise of digital platforms, YouTubers and their influence, and you think that we have to, I mean, how many YouTubers will we have to watch to sift out what is who's cancelling whom and what remains after that? Because then that becomes a residual explanation of things. It's not, at least as a receiver, as a consumer of news. So that poses a problem. And Godi versus Morcha media, I like that distinction. I think it's an interesting discussion, which brings me to Rajdeep. Now, Rajdeep, you've been in print. You're now in television, and you do blogs, etc. So, do you think now parties bypass the traditional media by using WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram to reach voters directly? So, I was saying earlier, like viral memes, short videos, and micro-targeted ads often set the agenda before mainstream media can even react. And half the time, mainstream media is following what's happening on social media and what is the news story we should follow. Is it this bypassing that has eroded the role of mainstream media in shaping the thought process of the voters? Because social media does not even make a symbolic claim of any kind of journalistic ethics. They do what they want to do, whatever will get them eyeballs. And then mainstream media starts following them because it's lost an agenda of its own.
Thanks very much, Bharat. And let me say at the outset, when I saw the initial title of the discussion, I wasn't convinced this Kingmaker or Bystander. I think it should have been, are we a lapdog or a watchdog? All this Bystander, Kingmaker, even your belief that, we made VP Singh. I mean, I think we tend to give ourselves too much of importance. It's like an editor many years ago said, I'm the second most important person in the country. Or, I remember Girilal Jain, the great Girilal Jain, saying, he was going to be invited for lunch with Rajiv Gandhi. And, media persons have this rather inflated ego about themselves and how they can influence the politics of the land. The truth of the matter is, for a variety of reasons, the media isn't what it was even 25, 30 years ago. The fragmentation is complete. The business model has collapsed. And you mentioned the rise of social media and this new beast in the jungle. It's very easy to target TV as Godi media. I mean, the fact is there are YouTubers and podcasters who are being paid for their podcasts and their YouTubes at the moment and paid good money. There are trends which are bought. All these Twitter trends that you will suddenly see are all bought. It's paid. It's worse than paid news in a way. It's a completely new industry which has emerged, parallel industry, lots of people involved in it with the stakes very high because you've got a new beast in this jungle along with social media called political consultants. And the consultants are paid by the politician essentially to build this media narrative. So it has become a very dark area that we are dealing with. And you're right, there is absolutely no journalistic ethics today in this social media space. You may attack me as Godi media, or you may be able to show that I have defamed an individual and I may have to face a court case. But what about those on YouTube and these other platforms who possibly are now getting away with a license to kill? And that's happening before every election. And the amounts that are being paid to some of these podcasters and YouTubers are only increasing. Of course, there are ethical people even among YouTubers and podcasters. I'm not generalizing. But the truth of the matter is politicians are only looking for vulnerabilities. The moment they see a particular vulnerability in the system, they will go out to exploit it. And therefore, I think, and this social media is only one part of the many changes that have taken place in the way elections are fought. I think 2 or 3 things have changed. One, let's be honest also, the media has got very polarized, much more polarized than ever before. You can stare, Bihar was staring us in the face. Truth of the matter is, you just have to do the arithmetic of the size of the alliance that the NDA had, and you just had to compare Nitish and Lalu among women. I have a simple theory now. You go to the ground, please go and meet women. Wherever the women are going, that party 9 times out of 10 will now win an election. They are silent voters, they may not come on camera. And in Bihar, this time there was vote kharidi. Nothing, no EVMs, all this is all bogus. I have no evidence. We should not make these arguments without any proof. The truth of the matter is there was vote kharidi. 10,000 rupees in a state where the per capita income is annual is 60,000. And women who are the Jivika Didis going to other women as election commission agents to spread voter awareness, saying, please go and vote for a particular party, your 10,000 will be guaranteed on the day of the vote. And there I agree with Jitendra ji. That's the question to ask. These are the questions journalists should have asked, which come back to the lapdog watchdog. The truth of the matter, who's even going to answer it? Is our friend Gyanesh Kumar going to answer it? Chief Election Commissioner? Nitish Kumar, the Chief Minister, longest serving Chief Minister of Hindi Heartland, did not give a single interview or a soundbite. So the media is completely evaporated from the scene. He has got a backroom team which will push Nitish ji is the Vikas Purush or whatever on Twitter and all, and you think Nitish ji is there, but he's not there actually. He's not accountable because no one can ask him any questions. So the entire ecosystem has changed completely. Mainstream media has been responsible for its own decline, because mainstream media also business model is collapsing, and therefore you have to align with whoever is in power. Just look at the ads that come of whichever party is in power in whichever state ahead of the elections. For 4 months, 5 months, you will see repeated ads. It's a way of buying media time. So that is one problem. Number 2 is the rise of social media, and the fact that social media also now can be bought easily, whether it's Twitter trends or Insta Reels. And the third is the fact that the entire machine that exists at the bottom has become completely compromised. And the amount of money, I mean, in my home state of Maharashtra, where I thought that the BJP by the end had the edge, but I never thought they had the edge of the kind. Again, you paid 1,500 rupees per month for 5 months, and the election commission even allowed a bonus during Diwali. Now, if you are going to change the rules so dramatically, in Haryana, today a senior BJP politician said, "Aap log ko miss kar gaye, 35 Jat candidates denied tickets by the Congress. We paid them large amounts, so tum khade raho as independents. Baki hum sambhal lenge." And they won 29 of those seats and they won Haryana. So you see, you are dealing now with the most, I don't know what's the word, the most intimidating machine in the history of independent India and possibly in the world. Of the level of micromanagement that they do. The media is just one little tool, little part of this mighty machine. What does the poor media guy who did old style journalism and thought कि वो चाय वाला से बैठेंगे, टैक्सी ड्राइवर से पूछेंगे, वो सब चला गया, छोड़ दो. अगर वो बोलेगा भी आपको कि नहीं मुझे ऑपोजिशन चाहिए, मुझे एंटी, वो नहीं देने वाला, उसको पैसे पर वो जाएगा एक तरफ. I mean, look at Maharashtra, what happened between May of Lok Sabha and November of Vidhan Sabha. The same voter voted the other way. Not even different votes. So the mechanics, election has become a completely different kind of money-driven game. And I think unless we understand the economy of elections, we in the media are always going to be a step behind. That to my mind should also be part of the discussion. The economy, not just of the media, but the economy of the way elections are now fought in this country.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Your message is exceptionally dismal because you're saying that elections are now bought. So elections go to the highest bidder. Anybody who bribes the most will win. So voters are purchasable, whether they are women or kisans who are being given Samman Nidhi.
No, can I just correct that? Because, it's only one factor. I'm saying vote kharidi was one factor.
I'm coming to others.
I mean, the arithmetic of the BJP alliance was much bigger. I mean, that, and also Nitish versus Lalu is a no contest.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's not only the voters who are purchasable, as Rajdeep has pointed out. The media is bought through ads. He said just now. Social media is purchased. In fact, it's created, as he said. So we are all up for sale, and so if that is the case, then I wonder what the fate of Indian democracy is. And you, of course, made some brilliant points about lapdog and watchdog. We particularly didn't want that kind of contrast and binary, because Mr. Modi is fond of binaries, but here we have to be slightly careful. And I agree with you that media inflates its role in determining politics and political leadership, but it does facilitate a certain kind of politics. And whether it does it objectively based on their own understanding, or whether it does it on behalf of somebody, as Jitendra pointed out, is the question. Changes how elections are organized and managed? Yeah. I don't think any person can today start a political party and hope to win an election unless there's a massive sort of surge in favor of... Sorry? Is that a problem? No. Unless there's a massive surge, a political wave or whatever, because the kind of micromanagement that is done and the kind of political machinery that has been developed, as Rajdeep pointed out, is just phenomenal, and nobody can compete with it. It's very difficult. I shouldn't say nobody can compete with it, but let's say it's formidable and difficult. So now we come to star speaker of this evening, Pawan. So Pawan Khera, as a politician, do you feel that the media still has the power to make or break electoral fortunes or political fortunes? Or has that power shifted entirely to election machinery, the social media it promotes, and the party's IT cells?
Well, I thought, like everywhere else, the Congress is treated so shabbily that my turn came at the end.
Not at all. You're a star. You're a star. That's why. Otherwise, these people would have left. They've come to listen to you.
So I was hearing all our guest speakers here. राजदीप जी ने तो सारा ब्लेम ही जनता पर डाल दिया. बड़ा अच्छा लगा मुझे सुनकर.
नहीं जनता नहीं,
पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, जनता, मीडिया के अलावा सब पर डाला. पूर्णिमा जी says that we are alive. भाई give us some evidence that you are alive. सबूत तो दीजिए जिंदा रहने का साहब. अपना डर तो जिंदा रखिए. आपका तो डर भी मर चुका है, तो आप कहां जिंदा हैं? हमें तो नहीं दिखते आप जिंदा. माफ कीजिएगा. Whether you died out of unemployment or you committed suicide, I don't know. But you are dead. It's a fact. Please face it. And we are grieving the death of media here. And the opposition, I am sorry, has been widowed. हम तो वैधव्य झेल रहे हैं. आप बैठी हैं तो हिंदी भी थोड़ा बोल दूं. बिना मीडिया के ऑपोजिशन की हालत जो होती है वो अब हो रही है. आपको दिख रहा. चलिए भूल जाइए ऑपोजिशन को. फॉरगेट अस. Think of the democracy. Think of your future. Think of the generations which are yet to come. We have destroyed everything. And I'm sorry, you cannot exonerate yourself, Rajdeep. Not Rajdeep per se, but the media. आप सुबह से शाम तक एक माहौल बनाते हैं और सारे हमले विपक्ष पर करते हैं. फिर कहते हैं देखो देखो विपक्ष मर गया. अरे मारा तो आप ही ने है. हमको आप कवरेज नहीं देते. मैं रोज कुछ ना कुछ बोलने की आदत है तो बोलता रहता हूं. ये कहते हैं बीस्ट इन द जंगल. भाई द ओनली बीस्ट इन द जंगल फॉर द लास्ट 11 years हैज बीन अ हिरन, वॉट एवर हिज नेम इज. तो एक मायावी हिरन घूम रहा है साहब प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स ऑफिस में. वो इन सबको, सुबह मैंने सुना एक कॉन्फ्रेंस कॉल होती है, उसमें 12 लोग हैं. राजदीप उनमें नहीं है.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
तो 12 लोगों की एक कॉन्फ्रेंस कॉल में ये मायावी हिरन इंस्ट्रक्शंस देते हैं. ये रोज सुबह होता है. तो आप प्लीज ऑल्सो फेस द एलिफेंट और द हिरन इन द रूम. दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम वी आर फेसिंग. आप लोगों ने अपने आप को सरेंडर कर दिया. अब क्यों रो रहे हैं आप लोग? और आप अकेले नहीं सरेंडर हुए, हम सबको भी नुकसान हो रहा है. पूरे देश को नुकसान हो रहा है. कोई सवाल ज्ञानेश गुप्ता से नहीं पूछता. कोई नहीं पूछता 10,000 क्यों जा रहे हैं. क्यों नहीं पूछते आप लोग? हम बड़ी बड़ी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस, हमें लगता है हम बहुत बड़ी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस कर रहे हैं, बड़े खुलासे कर रहे हैं. नो पवन, यू हैव टू डू मोर. अब भाई व्हाट मोर? बताइए ना. क्या कितनी डिबेट्स आपने की हिरन जोशी पर? बताइए. एक प्रिंट ने, मैं तो नाम लेता हूं, शेखर गुप्ता ने छापा, कुछ घंटों में उड़ा दिया. क्यों भाई, क्या हो रहा है? सो प्लीज फेस अकाउंटेबिलिटी. इवन द मीडिया इन दिस कंट्री नीड्स टू बी मोर अकाउंटेबल. एक मुझे जो लगता था, आई ग्रू अप विद एन एम्बिशन टू बी ए जर्नलिस्ट एंड आई डिड जॉइन एशियन एज फॉर अ बिट. मुझे जो लगता था कि एक आईना समाज निर्मित करता है, विच इज मीडिया. उस समाज में बुद्धिजीवी होते हैं, जनता होती है, सब लोग होते हैं, और वो आईना सरकारों को दिखाया जाता है जिसमें सरकारों को दिखता है कि मेरा असली चेहरा कैसा है। आप लोगों ने उस आईने को खत्म कर दिया। अब उस आईने में सरकार अपने आप को निहारती है, अपना मेकअप करती है, आप उसमें मेकअप में मदद भी करते हैं। ये मीडिया ने आज अपने आप को बना दिया है। डोंट ब्लेम एनीवन, यू हैव नो वन टू ब्लेम बट योरसेल्फ। यू हैव किल्ड योरसेल्फ एंड देयर इज नो फ्यूचर लेफ्ट इन इंडिया फॉर द मीडिया। मैं इससे ज्यादा बोलूंगा नहीं, समय हो गया मेरा।
नहीं बोलिए मिनट मोर।
तो अब व्हाट इज द वे अहेड? ठीक है साहब, सोशल मीडिया आ गया, डिबेट्स का आप कैरेक्टर देखिए, हिंदू मुसलमान के अलावा, और राष्ट्रभक्ति, कौन सी राष्ट्रभक्ति वो आप खुद देख लीजिए, मैं बोलना भी नहीं पसंद करूंगा। पूरी डिबेट्स सिर्फ उसी के आसपास घूम रही होती है, माहौल आप बना रहे होते हो, पिच तैयार कर रहे होते हो, पिच उनकी होती है, रूल्स उनके होते हैं, कॉल उनका होता है, एजेंडा वो सेट करते हैं, फिर आप सवाल हमसे पूछते हो। पिछले 11 साल में सारे हमले नेहरू जी पर होते हैं। उनको मरे हुए कितने साल हो गए? कल मैंने सुना, परसों, राजनाथ सिंह जी वो बोलते हैं साहब बाबरी मस्जिद को बनाने के लिए सरकार का पैसा। किसी ने सवाल पूछा कि सरदार पटेल ने, चलिए मान लिया कि रोक दिया नेहरू जी को, सरदार पटेल जी की तो डेथ हो गई 1950 में, 14 साल उसके बाद नेहरू जी ने क्यों नहीं बनाई बाबरी मस्जिद? पूछा आप लोगों में से किसी? नहीं पूछा ना, पूछेंगे भी नहीं, क्योंकि आपको वो पिच सूट करती है। तो प्लीज मिस्टर राजदीप सरदेसाई, आई रिस्पेक्ट यू पर्सनली वेरी मच। पूर्णिमा जी, आई रिस्पेक्ट यू, ऑल ऑफ यू आई रिस्पेक्ट इंडिविजुअली, कलेक्टिवली आई एम सॉरी यू लॉस्ट रिस्पेक्ट, ईच वन ऑफ यू। और कलेक्टिवली आप उसी आप देखिए, सड़क पर कोई लिंचिंग हो रही है तो ज्यादा बड़ा अपराधी कौन है? जो चुपचाप खड़ा है या जो लिंच मॉब का हिस्सा बन चुका है? मीडिया आज लिंच मॉब का हिस्सा बना हुआ है। चुपचाप बायस्टैंडर होता, आई एम बोरिंग फ्रॉम योर टाइटल, if the media were just a bystander, we would have forgiven them. They are not a bystander. They are participating in the murder of democracy every day, every minute, every debate, every hour. So that's the problem which we are facing today. Now let's stop.
Okay. So thank you very much. तो आपने बोला कि the heron in the room has to be addressed.
Well, I can see two IB fellows here, so
जितने भी
हिरन तो को जा रहा होगा।
कोई बात नहीं, हिरन के पास जा रहा होगा। तो ऐसा है कि जिन्होंने छापा हिरन के बारे में और फिर हटा दिया, उन्हें शायद पता लग गया होगा हिरन वापस आ गया। तो पहले तो खबर ये थी कि हिरन भाग गया है, लेकिन अब खबर ये है,
सो रहा है, शेर जाग जाएगा तो हिरन भाग जाएगा।
तो मैं आपकी इस बात से भी सहमत हूँ कि मीडिया डर गया है। But you see, we are not grieving the death of the media here. That's not why we are gathered here. We are actually gathered here to do not a post-mortem, but to see, to do exactly the opposite, to see what are the weaknesses and can they be overcome, and if they are structural in nature, how does the structure need to be changed so that media can function as independently as it should in a democracy. But the most important point you made, and I think that's really telling, and it's absolutely correct, that media by and large has become part of the lynch mob. In my life, I've been in journalism for 45 years. I have never seen such a biased media that is against minorities, that does not question these people, that allows goons in saffron who hold political posts to do whatever they do. I mean, what is this nonsense about bulldozer justice about which the media is scared of writing? When people are, when the Prime Minister of this country says कि इनको कपड़ों से पहचाने जाते हैं, somebody should tell him, तुम भी तो कपड़ों से पहचाने जाते हो, तुम्हारी बात करने से पता लगता है कि तुम हो क्या चीज़. So what I'm saying is media has completely weakened itself, and I agree with Pawan on this. Anyway, with this we go to the second round, and here whatever you want to react to, or whatever new things you want to say. You want to start, Rajdeep?
I just want, since he,
Yeah, okay, all right.
before I forget,
I won't let you forget.
we have a full show tomorrow on Hiren Joshi, both on Lallan Top as well as on my blog. So I hope you'll watch it.
Not on India Today, by the way.
No. Look. The fact is, there is no news at the moment that he has resigned. I can't go by speculation. I have to go by facts. I can say that the chairperson of Prasar Bharati has resigned. I can't say that Hiren Joshi. You have that luxury and liberty, which unfortunately I don't.
Tell us also why he's resigned.
So no, I don't know. I mean, to be very honest, I do not. And my information from his office was that he has not resigned and he's very much there, and this is media speculation. But be that as it may, you raise a very valid point. I'm not suggesting, and at no stage did I suggest that I'm trying to escape the responsibility individually and collectively of the media and its coverage of election. Instead of laptop watchdog, let me throw you another topic, the way you could have framed the topic, and which according to me is the real serious issue. Do we have a level playing field during elections or not in this country? And there the media's role, indeed the media, the institutions that are supposed to monitor elections, all of them come into scrutiny. To my mind, a level playing field at election time should be and is part of the basic structure of the constitution. तुम डेमोक्रेसी कर रहे हो, तुम चुनाव लड़ रहे हो, it's a 100 meters run, one side is at the 90-meter mark and you are at the starting point. When I was researching my 2019 book, one of the things I saw based on BARC data, 80% of the prime time in the 1 month leading up to elections was with the ruling party and Prime Minister Modi. Some of it is true even of state governments, not necessarily all ruled by the BJP, but even in opposition-ruled state governments, we've seen certain state governments monopolize the entire prime time coverage just before an election. In every other, in a real democracy, since आप लोग कहते हैं democracy खतरे में है, in a real democracy, you would have some system that would ensure equal time, equal space for all the political parties. In India, we have lost that space. Now, there will be those who will argue that this was also the case before 2014, that whoever was in power would misuse their power. That may be the case in the night. We can go back to 70s, but it won't help us because that's whataboutery. The truth of the matter today is that whoever is in power has an unusual level of dominance over the media narrative. And there are various reasons for it. The business model, as I said, of media. So the business model of elections we can look at, but the business model of the media itself. You are dependent increasingly on government revenue. CNN globally gets 60% of its revenues through subscription and less than 40% through advertising. In India, 90% of the revenues come from advertising and less than 10% from subscription. And who is the biggest advertiser? Government. Now, in that situation, how are you going to put in norms? This is where the Election Commission should be stepping in. If you really had a neutral umpire, you ask for what can be done. The Election Commission should make it clear that at election time, in this 1 month, since the code of conduct comes, both the major parties will have an equal amount of time on prime time to give their point of view. Unless you put in some hard rules in place and enforce them, this problem is only going to get worse. It's very easy to target us, and Pawan is entirely justified. I am not holding a candle at all for the kind of journalism, what passes off as journalism today. But I still believe that we could do much more with more institutional support. What the media today desperate, reporters want to give a level playing field. Let's be very clear. Don't blame the reporter. You have billionaire owners today who are more worried about their oil telecom contracts with the government of the day or which airport they're getting next. How do you expect them to provide you a level playing field at election time? So there are structural issues which will have to be addressed.
Thank you, Rajdeep. So, Jitendra, मैं आपसे चाहता था कि आप जो राजदीप ने कहा कि कॉर्पोरेट और पॉलिटिकल कंट्रोल जो मीडिया के ऊपर हो गया है, तो क्या उससे मीडिया की मतलब इंडिपेंडेंस पूरी तरह से ख़त्म हो गई है कि थोड़ी बाकी है? कि जनता अब सोचती है कि मीडिया तो पूरा बायस्ड है, एक तरफा बात करता है, तो उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी जब ख़त्म हो जाएगी तो जो लोग अखबार पढ़ते हैं या टीवी देखते हैं या सोशल मीडिया कंज्यूम करते हैं, वो कहेंगे ये सब बकवास है, ये तो एंटरटेनमेंट है, इनकी बातों में विश्वास मत करो, सुनो सबकी, करो अपने मन की. क्या ऐसा हो रहा है हिंदुस्तान में?
काफ़ी, जैसे कई चीज़ें हम ये मान के चलते हैं कि ऐसा होता है. मतलब जैसे कि अगर नेहरू प्रधानमंत्री न होते, पहले प्रधानमंत्री न होते, तो हमने माना कि प्रधानमंत्री के पद पर रह के कोई झूठ नहीं बोलता है. अगर नेहरू के बदले मोदी प्रधानमंत्री होते तो क्या कहा जाता है कि प्रधानमंत्री के पद पर रह के कोई भी आदमी सच नहीं बोलता है. तो हम इसको इस तरह से देखें, मतलब उल्टा करके देखें, तो हमने मान लिया है कि मीडिया जो है जनता के लिए है, जनता के साथ है, जनता की बातें करता है. एक्चुअली वो कारपोरेट हित के अनुसार, मतलब ये जो है ना गाइडेड मीडिया है वो अब, और जो मैं पहले भी कहा, क्योंकि अब इसको देख लें कि जब गोवानाडू में चुनाव होगा, मतलब को बेल्ट में, इसको मैं गोवानाडू कहता हूँ, तो जब गोवानाडू में चुनाव होगा तो सारे टीवी चैनल्स पर लोग बैठ के जाति पर ऐसे बात करेंगे, सारे रिपोर्टर्स, जैसे आप घोरे एम श्रीनिवासन, सतीश देशपांडे या सुरेंद्र जोधका को सुन रहे हैं, और रिजल्ट आ जाएगा उसके बाद साल भर या 5 साल तक जाति की कोई बात नहीं करेगा। उस चैनल में आप सारे की टीवी चैनल्स को आज देख लीजिए, आप रिपोर्टर्स देखिए, एंकर देखिए, शर्मा, मिश्रा, पांडे, त्रिवेदी, द्विवेदी, मतलब 90% के बिहाफ में वो 10% बातें करता है। एक आपको वहाँ पर पासवान नहीं दिखेगा, यादव नहीं दिखेगा, मंडल नहीं दिखेगा, कुशवाहा नहीं दिखेगा, मौर्य नहीं दिखेगा, मतलब जो जितनी भी जातियां हैं उसका कोई भी रिप्रेजेंटेशन आपको नहीं दिखाई पड़ेगा। सारे के सारे एफएम सुनिए आप, मैं गाड़ी चलाता हूँ, एफएम सुनता हूँ, उसमें बात भी अगर कोई महिला या पुरुष कर रहे हो तो सवर्ण है, तो 10% सवर्ण 90% लोगों की ज़िंदगी को निर्धारित करता है वहाँ बैठ के, उनकी कोई बात नहीं होती। और कहेंगे कि अब मीडिया में मतलब कैसे हो, तो मतलब हम 7 भाई बहन थे, तो उसमें नेपाल से हमारा काफ़ी क्लोज घर है, तो मेरे फादर एक पीलाधारी कपड़ा लाते थे, काफ़ी मजबूत होता था नेपाल से, और 7 भाई बहन को एक तरह से वही कपड़ा बनवाता था, और हम सब लोग यही 7 भाई बहन उसी को पहन के, क्योंकि काफ़ी मजबूत होता था और टिकाऊ भी होता था और सस्ता भी होता था शायद, तो हम 7 भाई बहन पहन के घूमते थे। लेकिन हमको बड़ी कोफ्त होती थी कि यार ऐसा ही कपड़ा क्यों है हमारे शरीर पर, हम 7 भाई, लेकिन न्यूज़ रूम में जो डिसीजन मेकर्स हैं उनको एक ही जैसे नाम, एक ही जैसा चेहरा, एक ही जैसे सरनेम से कोई परेशानी ही नहीं होती, मतलब ये भी आश्चर्य होता है हमको। और रही बात मीडिया में, तो एक जब उन्होंने कहा इंफोसिस के चीफ ने कि 80 घंटे काम करने चाहिए, तो किसी दूसरे ने, लार्सन टुब्लो वाले ने कहा कि नहीं 90 घंटे काम करने चाहिए हफ्ते में। तो ये ठीक है कि जो स्थिति बन गई है मीडिया में कि किसी भी रिपोर्टर के पास इतना दबाव है कि पढ़ने का समय नहीं होता। तो एक बार ईरा पांडे जी ने आउटलुक में दिल्ली में जो दिल्ली डायरी में उन्होंने लिखा था, इलाहाबाद की बात है, वो इलाहाबाद उस समय में काफ़ी गौरवशाली परंपरा थी यूनिवर्सिटी की, जो अब प्रयाग बना दिया है योगी जी ने। तो उसमें उन्होंने कहा कि एक दिन का समय, एक दिन था ऐसा कि जब वहाँ फिराक साहब पढ़ा रहे थे, तो उसी समय एक हिस्टोरियन थे ईश्वरी प्रसाद, वो भी पढ़ा रहे थे, और ईश्वरी प्रसाद का दुर्भाग्य, दोनों आमने सामने पड़ गए, दुआ सलाम हुई, और फिर उन्होंने कहा कि अब जब जाने लगे तो उन्होंने कहा अरे भाई ईश्वरी लिख बहुत लिए, अब थोड़ा पढ़ भी लो। तो मैं मीडिया को कहूँगा कि थोड़ा पढ़ भी ले, वो मीडिया वाले पढ़ते ही नहीं है, कोई पता नहीं होता कि कौन सी किताब आई, क्या समाज में चल रहा है।
थैंक यू। पूर्णिमा, डू यू वांट टू से समथिंग?
Yeah, I mean, it's media when you see you are talking about journalists and how much of I mean, not that our conduct has been exemplary. I mean, it's disgraceful. I mean, none of us can shun responsibility for that. But one, Rajdeep Sardesai talking about the accountability of the election commission at a time when these disbursements were these monies were being distributed in Bihar. We all wrote about it, but that doesn't alter the discourse. It doesn't alter the narrative. There is a larger ecosystem at play here. I mean, you look at the media ownership, Bharat. I mean, look at how many channels is Mr. Ambani owning. Mr. Adani has used up the only one channel that was standing up to the government. So you look at the media ownership patterns. Rajdeep talked about advertising revenue and the government control over that. In that discourse, we are not talking about freedom of media. We are talking about freedom of the media owner who's part and parcel of the government ecosystem. We are not talking about journalists here. I mean, it's okay for Pawan to attack the journalists, and their conduct has not been, quite disgraceful, I will say. But that's only one part of the story. The real part of the story is who owns the media and who's driving this discourse here, and what are their interests. So it's not particularly complex to guess that. I mean, why does Mr. Ambani want to own channels and newspapers? Why does Mr. Adani want to own even the Hindu? Which he does.
Really?
So why? Right?
Okay. Thank you, Poornima, for pointing to the changing nature of the ownership structure and its influence, which I thought was missing from this thing. You blamed only the media, not the owners. At the end of the day, how many editors have been sacked because they were not following the line of the management? You can't afford to say no to the management. Very difficult these days. They'll just show you the door. And that's happened to several, especially under this government since 2014. I don't even want to start counting the names of people who've been sacked because of this, because the owners have been put under pressure to follow a certain line. Anyway, I'll come to you, Pawan, in a minute, but Professor Satish Jha, so do you think, as a political scientist, that the Indian media can still reinvent itself as a credible electoral force or as a credible democratic force in India? Or do you think its influence is destined to remain secondary to digital propaganda, whoever's running it, and grassroots mobilization by communal or other extremist forces?
In fact, this reinventing itself will depend on so many factors which are operating within Indian democracy. Media is not an isolated case. In fact, Election Commission came up again and again. I think there are a lot of areas which need attention, including political party. India is the only country, and not only one country, I think this is true with most of the parliamentary democracies. Party doesn't have any space in the constitutional design. Whatever reforms you have seen through Election Commission, coming through Election Commission. So that apart, in fact, three things often we used to discuss in context of Indian elections. That it moves through three stages: Parcha, Charcha, and Kharcha. Now the first two stages have gone now. Parcha, I don't think anyone bothers. Kisi ka parcha laga ki nahi. Charcha, the dialogue, of course, in villages still we find that on the shops and other places, people in the evening they will assemble and they will discuss. How much that impact their voting behavior and political positioning, I don't know. I mean, that is to be tested. And Kharcha, of course, is a big issue. And Kharcha, 10,000 is one thing, but not only 10,000. 6 months before election is declared, different types of Kharcha starts. That perhaps doesn't get the attention of the media. Now, second thing, this Kingmaker thing, the media, at least whether Kingmaker or not, I don't know. But one thing is there, they are capable to beguile and misguide at least those parties whose ear is not, on the ground. For example, in Bihar context, this Mukesh Sahni phenomenon. In fact, the way it misguided many political parties, that Sahni has a 5-6% votes and all of them are rallying behind Mukesh Sahni, at least confused Mahagathbandhan. Now, similar thing happening because, after 95, there has been disaggregation of OBC constituency. Samta split, the Kurmis came out of. After that, every election you find that two subcastes are coming out of that larger OBC, this thing, category. Now, what is happening? That few leaders suddenly come up, they take voluntary retirement, arrive on the scene, they declare that, I represent the 6% votes of this, the state. And this is never democratically tested. Of course, I hope that this myth will be blasted after this.
It was tested this time.
Right? And, even Kushwaha lost parliamentary election, but still he believes that all Kushwahas are behind him. Now, it is something like what Muhammad Ali Jinnah, created before partition. I mean, his claim to represent all Muslims of India was never electorally tested. But still there was misconception that Jinnah was the leader of the Muslims. A similar thing is happening in this OBC politics. Now, these things are creating problem for those political parties which are not basically at least organizationally grounded. For example, Congress had a very massive organizational structure in Bihar. What has happened? In my district, I know there are a huge building which houses this Congress office. I don't know, some mafias captured that building. This is what I have heard. So I mean, this is happening with many political parties, and and BJP. I don't know why people say that it is a so powerful, well-oiled, this machinery. If it is that, if that is the case, then why they have to hire the services of market agencies to find out that what type of feeling is prevailing in the constituency and who should be fielded? They are not relying on their party, input and feedback. So that is another issue.
Okay, thank you. So now we move to Pawan. A lot of questions have already been posed to him, but I would also like you to address the question that or that statement that Rajdeep made. And I'm drawing from what he said. If elections are being bought by the highest bidder or highest briber, then where does that leave the opposition? Because in terms of resources, all the resources are concentrated in the hands of the ruling party. So they can continue bribing voters and winning, and opposition parties can keep pointing fingers but can do nothing because people clearly in India are purchasing.
So, what Rajdeep and Poornima said about the ownership of media, I don't think this happened, it's a new phenomenon. It's not post 2014, it's always been there. But the way things are getting normalized and abnormalized also is something which we need to really point out at and flag. It's not as though the owners were not large corporates before 2014. Some of them were invisible, some of them were visible. Now they are openly there, brazenly there. I know when in the mornings I call media persons for a bite, the moment I use the A word, Adani, दो लोग अपना कैमरा ऑफ कर देते हैं, माइक ऑफ कर देते हैं. If I use the word the other A, अंबानी, दो और बंद हो जाते हैं. So I'm left with one or two. तो ये हो रहा है, बट ये हमेशा होता था. अब इसका सामान्यकरण हो गया, ये नॉर्मलाइज हो गया. अब किसी को कोई शर्म नहीं है, कोई लिहाज नहीं है, कुछ वो बचा नहीं. That's where people, and I didn't attack journalists, Poornima, I will never attack journalists. I'm talking about the larger family of the word media. It includes the owners, it includes the top management, may or may not include the reporters, because I know most of the reporters genuinely want to do their job right. They want to report right. But they do face problems. They have their compulsions of EMIs every month, and I understand we know what they are going through. The issue is the intellectuals sitting here, all of you. I think you are a great pressure group. I don't know why you don't realize your pressure, your power. You are a great pressure group. At least try it. आप लोगों ने हमारे खिलाफ तो किया था साहब, अन्ना हजारे आंदोलन में सब खुद पड़े थे. तो अब भी कोशिश तो कीजिए, देख तो लीजिए, अपना डर कायम करिए. आपका डर मत मरने दीजिए. बस यही कहूँगा, उससे ज़्यादा मैं कुछ नहीं कहूँगा.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to summarize anything. I think let's move to questions because I'm sure a lot of you will have questions. So what I will do is there are 3 blocks. I'll take questions from this side, then in the middle, and from there. Identify yourself and then ask a question. Is there a mic, please? Can you give him a mic?
Hi, this is Bikramjit Datta. Sir, Rajdeep sir, you spoke about CNN, that it most of its works on subscription model. But do you think that Indian news channels or Indian media can sustain on subscription model? Because we don't see a lot of viewers who are willing to pay for journalism these days.
Shall we take some more questions first? This is Rajdeep, and then the gentleman there. Inko dijiye.
Thank you, sir. Sir, would you allow me to make few comments?
No, sir. It's just a question. And
right,
identify yourself first.
My name is Kartar Kapoor. I'm a student of comparative studies and evolution of histories. Sir, my question is, this is my statement as well, the observation as well. That is, media is the rule. As you say about the media and the ruling elites all over the world. This is the base of my question. Democracy or no democracy? Media plays the role of a paid slaves of the ruling elites world over. I'm not talking about India. Whosoever comes in the power, doesn't matter. Whosoever comes in the power, wherever it comes in the power, I have all over the world. The media is always a slave of the ruling elites. Thank you. And
what is your question?
The question is, do you agree or not?
Me or
the panel?
Or the panel? Okay. Okay.
That's a good one.
मेरा नाम कंचना यादव है, मैं आरजेडी की स्पोक्स पर्सन हूँ. मेरा सवाल जितेंद्र जी से है. आपने कहा कि अपोजिशन बिहार में 300 वोट है, 370 ऐड हो गए, उसने देख नहीं पाया। मेरा पहला सवाल है कि क्या रियली अपोजिशन की ड्यूटी है इंश्योर करे कि 300 बदले 600 वोट ना हो जाए? क्या ये ड्यूटी है इलेक्शन कमीशन की कि इंश्योर करे कि 300 वोट का 300 वोट ही रहे? आप कब तक 2014 से ये जो आ गया है ना कि नेहरू जी पे एक्सपेरिमेंट होकर कि हर चीज के लिए नेहरू जी जिम्मेदार है, अब हर चीज के लिए अपोजिशन जिम्मेदार है, तो क्यों नहीं जब हर चीज के लिए अपोजिशन ही जिम्मेदार है तो संवैधानिक संस्था अपोजिशन को डिक्लेयर करके बाकी सबको गैर संवैधानिक संस्था कर दीजिए, आसान है। तो अपोजिशन को ब्लेम करना यहाँ ठीक है क्या कि SIR में इतना वोट हो गया? ये सब भी वोट चोरी है। अपोजिशन को ब्लेम करना हर बार बंद करिए, अपोजिशन अपना काम कर रहा है, यही सवाल है मेरा। क्या अपोजिशन इसके लिए जिम्मेदार है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन?
समझ में आ गया। कमल, coming to you.
Kamal Malhotra, formerly United Nations. My question is to the whole panel. I'd like you to compare and contrast with the United States and media, because corporate control of the media has been huge in the US for a very long time. Yet in Trump 1.0, the media stood up. And even in Trump 2.0, the media is standing up, or parts of it are standing up, much more so than here. So you can't put it all on corporate ownership. There have been some deals with Trump, ABC and others, but, you know, and it can't all be just because there are a larger number of subscribers in the United States. There's a whole range of media there that stood up and is still standing up. Yeah. And so why in supposedly the world's largest democracy, the media is capitulated pretty much across the board.
Right, thank you. Gentleman here. And then we'll take the answers.
You're right.
मेरे पूरे पैनल से मेरा नाम आवेश तिवारी है, मैं फ्रीलांस जर्नलिस्ट हूँ। राजदीप सरदेसाई जी ने एक बात कही, लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड नहीं है। मेरा सवाल सभी सारे पैनल से है कि पिछले 12 सालों में लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड नहीं है, ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और प्रिंट मीडिया ने कितना रिपोर्ट किया? क्योंकि सोशल मीडिया ने तो रिपोर्ट किया, बार बार किया, बिहार इलेक्शन में भी। सिर्फ बिहार इलेक्शन के परिप्रेक्ष्य में ये बता दें कि बिहार में लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड नहीं था, ये बात कितना रिपोर्ट किया गया?
Okay, now we'll just a minute. We'll take another round after this. Let's have answers. Who wants to begin? Rajdeep, you want to begin?
I link that question to the first question that was put. Look, I genuinely believe that, and this is also linked to what you said, there is a greater commitment on the part of the citizens of a democracy like the United States to the idea of a free media. It may only come from a small sliver of the intellectual class, but it is out there to support the whole notion of an institution that stands up. In India, on the other hand, I'm not sure of that anymore. And that is linked to, for example, subscription. If someone puts up a channel or a website which challenges those in power, the blowback is such that there is no protection. We've seen it with the independent ISPM, which is in Bangalore. They were raided because of some of the and their shareholders include their supporters include the likes of Azim Premji, Kiran Majumdar Shaw, and others. But because of the support they were providing to certain critical websites of the government, they were raided. And where was the protection? In the United States, I believe there is protection. In the United States, I believe that there is a willingness to subscribe for good media. In India, on the other hand, if you pay peanuts, you'll get monkeys. Cable TV in this country is a disaster. For $800, you get 1,000 channels. You're effectively paying 50 paisa per channel. And even if the cable wala, I mean, this is of course pre-DTH, cable wala increases the cost by 50 rupees, you will complain. How many of you are willing to pay? The Times of India destroyed the newspaper model by making newspapers 2 rupees and 5 rupees when you should have been paying bloody 20 rupees for it. Or 25 rupees for it, which is the real price. But people were happy. You got Economic Times for 1 rupee more, people happy. So if you pay peanuts, you will get monkeys. If you don't have strong institutions that are out there that will ensure that the enforcement agency cannot be used against a business person who, let's say, decides to support a slightly critical channel, you're not going to get any support. And then that is linked to your point of level playing field. Sir, problem, मैं एक बात मानता हूं, that what Advani ji said about the emergency is also true partly today. Advani ji famously said, when we were asked to bend, we crawled. Ab to main kehta hu, when we are asked to bend, we did Sakshtang Namaskar. No doubt about it. But that's because there is no one to protect. Who is there? How many people are there to protect journalists who stand up to be counted? Who will protect us? Look at, I have some protection because of, you've been in the business but think of the young guy. I've written it about my book. It was shocking. In one of the top networks, a young reporter was suspended during elections for 4 weeks because he wrote he did a critical OB on the PM's Baswada speech. 4 weeks. Who stood up for him? Will any media body also stand up for that person? The same 10 people will come to the press club and protest. Baki kahan hai? So we need institutions that are stronger to protect us. Unless you do that, I think it will get worse before it gets better.
May I just interrupt for a minute? It's it's a follow-up to what Mr. Sardesai was saying. All right.
नहीं कंचना, मतलब आपके सवाल से मेरा कभी कभी अभी भी मैं अपने को मीडिया के से मान लेता हूँ, तो इसलिए मुझे ये लगता है कि लेकिन इस देश में मतलब अब जो स्थिति हो गई, मीडिया और ओवैसी हमेशा अपोजिशन से ही सवाल पूछता है, तो इसलिए मैंने सवाल ये पूछ दिया कि आपकी पार्टी कहाँ थी। अदरवाइज ये काम तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी मतलब इलेक्शन कमीशन का था कि कैसे नाम जुड़े, क्योंकि जब वही ये कर रहा है तो निश्चित रूप से उसकी जवाबदेही है। लेकिन इस देश में किस इंस्टीट्यूशन को इस रूलिंग पार्टी ने पिछले 12 साल में रहने दिया है? कौन सा ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूशन है इस देश का जो कह सके कि हम इंडिपेंडेंटली सोचते हैं? अब और मतलब इस तरह के जैसे आईसी इंडिया इंटरनेशनल जहां हम बैठे हैं, जो हमको बुलाया इस प्रोग्राम के लिए, एक बायस भी है, मतलब पूरा का पूरा वो अपर कास्ट माइंड सेट तय करता है कि इस देश में क्या होगा, क्या बहसें चलेंगी। आईआईसी में लालू प्रसाद यादव जब रेल मंत्री थे, जो 77 में एमपी बने थे, उसके बाद एमएलए बने, उसके बाद लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन रहे, 3 बार के एमपी, 7 साल मुख्यमंत्री, इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर ने उनको मेंबरशिप नहीं दिया। आप जान सकते हैं कोई क्राइटेरिया होगा बायस के अलावा और कास्ट के अलावा?
इनका भी आवेश तिवारी जी का भी जवाब दे दीजिएगा। उन्होंने कहा था लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड था क्या बिहार में, और मीडिया ने रिपोर्ट किया?
मीडिया ने रिपोर्ट, लोकल मीडिया में तो कई चीज़ें आ रही थी आवेश भाई, लेकिन ये नेशनल मीडिया जो दिल्ली से थे या जो नेशनल मीडिया कह के घूम रहे थे, उनको कुछ दिख नहीं रहा था, क्योंकि लोकल मीडिया में तो ढेर सारी चीज़ें आ रही थी बस। लेकिन यही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि उनको बताया गया था कि आपको ये सब नहीं करने हैं, और जो करिए मतलब मोदी जी महान हैं, ये सब कहते रहिए, ये सब चलेगा। लेकिन अब एक सवाल दिल्ली से जो चैनल तय करता है, वो क्यों नहीं एक सवाल पूछा, एक दिन प्रोग्राम क्यों नहीं किया कि अमित शाह ने भी तो कहा था हमको 160 सीटें मिलेंगी। एग्जिट पोल में सब ने कहा कि 130, 128, 140, 150, किसी ने नहीं कहा कि 170, लेकिन वो एग्जिट 203 सीटें आई और सब ने ताली बजाना शुरू कर दिया। तो जब अमित शाह को ही पता नहीं था, तो इस पर वो कभी हाँ कभी ना वाला नहीं है फिल्म, जिसमें कि शाहरुख खान को 95, 98, 75 नंबर मिल जाता है, 3 बार फेल है, वो पूछता है कि यार हुआ कैसे ऐसे, लोग विश्वास नहीं करेगा। तो विश्वासी इलेक्शन कमीशन ने इतना कर दिया कि विश्वासी नहीं हो रहा है।
Pawan, would you like to answer Mr. Kartar Kapoor, because he seems a man after your heart. He says media is a slave.
नहीं, मीडिया तो जो है वो मैं बहुत बोल चुका हूँ, इन सब से रोज़ मुझे फिर मिलना भी होता है, बाद में फिर दिक्कत आती है। लेकिन जो आप लोग बार बार आरोप मीडिया पर लगा रहे हैं भारत भूषण जी, कि दे फेल टू प्रेडिक्ट द इलेक्शन आउटकम, मतलब
and also
and-
they failed to influence people to think critically about
भाई जिस पर हत्या का आरोप लगना चाहिए उस पर आप जेब काटने का आरोप लगा रहे हैं तो ये तो बड़ी हैरानी की बात है तो प्लीज एटलीस्ट ट्राई देम फॉर अंडर द राइट सेक्शंस
Bilkul. Bilkul. Okay, now we'll take the next round. The lady at the back first.
He wants to say.
Oh, sorry. Ek
Just,
minute.
just I would like
Satish
to
ji.
add. In fact, people have also developed their own mechanism to find out that which media is credible and which is not. In fact, 6 months ago, I mean, or a year ago, whenever I used to visit Bihar, people used to say the Lallan top मैं देखता हूँ और अच्छा लगता है. During elections and before that election, I asked भाई ललन टॉप नहीं बंद कर दिया. बोले क्या हो गया? नहीं उसका एंकर और बाकी लोग मोदी के अमित शाह के बैठ के साथ डिनर खा रहा था. I mean, this was publicized, right? So I mean, this is how people develop, their opinion about. I'm just giving one example. Alam Top. I mean, may be true, may not be true.
Yeah.
But this is how people have developed their own mechanism to find out.
Yeah.
जो who is Godi media, which is not Godi media, क्या credibility है नहीं है. So I mean, people are not fool. I mean, they are also, somehow.
Can I just very quickly, just 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Pawan Khera is absolutely right. Whatever he wants to say about the media, it's open season. But you also are running a terrible campaign election after election and not learning from your mistakes. I mean, let me be very clear. So, it's very easy. In Maharashtra, you messed up. In Haryana, you messed up. In Bihar, you messed up. So, you are...
Don't go there. Don't go there,
the
please.
level
तो
playing
हमारी कैंपेन की वजह से मीडिया हमारे अगेंस्ट हो गया
नहीं.
अरे बात यहाँ मीडिया की और हिसाब हमारे कैंपेन पे किसी और दिन कर लेंगे
Don't
ना
hijack the discussion, please. Yeah, the lady at the back. Identify yourself, please.
Hi, yeah. Hi, my name is Ritika. I'm a journalist with Boom. It's a digital news platform. I cover the courts and sometimes the parliament, sometimes because I just do question answers, I can't do more. My question is from a different angle, if anyone can shed light on that. Is it perhaps also that the laws in a country are not really journalism friendly, that maybe we cannot report the way we want to because we don't have that backing and the strength? I mean, I've written enough about how the laws are being misused, be it sedition, the old one and the new one, which is not sedition but is sedition. Even if not the criminal laws, if it's the IT raids on companies, on independent organizations, or also, trying to buy off channels. So I just feel that, again, I would love your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Is it perhaps also because our laws are not strong enough?
Got the question.
Yeah.
Gentleman here. Use the mic, please.
Go ahead.
My name is Arghya. I'm an independent journalist. I want to direct this question to Poornima ma'am, Rajdeep sir, and Pawan sir. Do you think lack of scholarship in terms of on caste in sociology and anthropology impacts the ideas that journalists and political parties are developing these days? I say this taking the Maharashtra elections, Haryana elections, and the Bihar elections in reference, and the way the chemistry played between caste that the BJP and the winning parties did, and caste's engagement with market, economy, technology, and resistance. The lack of scholarship in terms of this discussion, in terms of caste and these ideas, do you think it impacts journalism and the campaigns that Rajiv sir is also talking about, Congress's campaigns? Does it impact to a certain extent?
Here, right in front.
If I can say to
Yes, please.
you see, I have spent about 65 years in journalism, and one thing that I would like to point out today, how the newspapers have changed the entire setup. In the sense, earlier you had to talk to the reporters and tell them about a particular subject and explain to them what is happening in that line. Now, all newspapers, including the main leading newspapers like Times of India, Hindustan Times, and others, they are accepting money, and in return, the item is published. The entire concept of any item being sold has disappeared. Now it is a money which the newspaper management asks for openly. And secondly, what is happening? which should be your matter of concern, that all avenues of information are being closed one by one. For instance, Central Hall in Parliament was one of the institutions where all the ministers, all the officials, and opposition leaders met. Today, in the new Parliament, the Central Hall has been abolished. There is no Central Hall. All ministers under instructions are told not to talk to any journalist, not to give any information. All officials do not give appointments to any journalist. So under the circumstances, not only the avenues of information are being closed, you are also being told that any information which is to be published about any private industry or others, it has to be paid for.
ब्रिज साहब सवाल पूछिए. सवाल था कुछ? सवाल भी पूछना था कुछ? सवाल भी है कुछ?
My question is, with all avenues of information being closed, how are the journalists going to function?
Hemendra.
Hello, my name is Hemendra Singh Bartwal. Pawan knows me and all of you know me.
All of us know you.
All of us.
Thank you. अब मैं आपको ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ, आपने देखा है हम लोग रिपोर्टिंग करते रहे ज़िंदगी भर, जो बातें हो रही हैं सबकी, आप पूर्णिमा भी हमारे साथ थी. पवन को पूछता हूँ मैं, क्या सारा दारोमदार मीडिया का ही है? क्या आप सोचते हैं कि मीडिया बड़ा स्ट्रांग होता तो आपकी सरकार बार बार जीत जाती ऑपोजिशन, या आपकी जिम्मेदारी है? ये जो आप कह रहे हैं ये क्या नई बात है? हम तो इतने बड़े बड़े ग्रुप्स में रहे हैं, ज़िंदगी भर एडिटर बदले गए हैं, ज़िंदगी भर शाम की मीटिंग में जो लिस्ट जाती थी भारत जी को मालूम है, मैं इनके यहाँ भी काम कर चुका हूँ. ऊपर से ओनर देखता था एक एक आइटम, या देखती थी, वो डिसाइड करते थे किसका जाएगा किसका नहीं जाएगा. हमको बोला था सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करी, वो 3 पैरे से ज़्यादा नहीं होना, तो 3 ही पैरे देते थे, उसमें भी एक ही छपता था, और बोल वो भी नहीं छपता था, है ना. तो क्योंकि आपके टाइम में सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी जो थे प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके सोनिया गांधी और उनकी फैमिली को खींचते थे खूब, तो आप ही की सरकार थी. तो नई बात क्या है? आपकी सरकार में बहुत हुआ है, सारे स्टेट्स में हुआ है. अब मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो ये सब परेशानी है, इतने सालों से आपकी सरकारों ने जो गड़बड़ किया, ऑपोजिशन की सरकारों ने गड़बड़ किया, जो लालू प्रसाद ने किया, जो मुलायम, क्या वो उसका फल नहीं भुगत रहे हैं और उस पर कैपिटलाइज नहीं कर लिया बीजेपी ने? या कि हम मीडिया क्या करेगा भाई? हम तो नौकरी कर रहे हैं, कल को हमें बाहर कर देगा ओनर. अब बीवी बच्चे की फीस कहाँ से देंगे? आप ये बताइए, घर में सब्जी कहाँ से आएगी? ये है बात. आप ये बताइए, सारी मीडिया की जिम्मेदारी है कि आपकी कांग्रेस पार्टी का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कहाँ गया?
आ गया उनको सवाल समझ में.
आप क्यों नहीं जाके बताते लोगों को भाई हम क्या क्या बताएं?
आपने बड़ा अच्छा बोला.
एक मिनट रुक जाइए. एक अगला सवाल वहाँ पे है. द लेडी देयर.
Hi.
ठीक है बर्टी.
Understood.
My name is Ishita. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a politician. I'm a career counselor. And I keep getting students who come and tell me, I want to become a journalist. Now, my question to journalists is,
tell them no.
What should I tell them? After
Tell them
today's
no.
discourse, firstly, they don't come and ask me, how can I be a politician? How can I tell them that you should become a politician? And how can I tell them that you shouldn't become a journalist? What should my message be? What would be my takeaway from here?
इसका जवाब मैं दूंगा आपको. खोगेन.
My name is Khogen Singh. My question is to anyone on the panel. As it was discussed, money plays a huge role in elections. Now, does it mean that Indian voters are so morally corrupt or so dumb that elections have been reduced to the highest bidder? If that were the case, what explains 2024 when from 440 it came down to 240 or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, okay. So one last we'll take from.
Thank you, sir. Pawan ji,
नाम बता.
सरजीत डुडेजा. आई थिंक आपकी सबसे बड़ी कमी है कि आपका कैडर नहीं है, वर्कर नहीं है. जैसे बीजेपी में 15 पेज प्रमुख हैं, एक पेज में अगर 100 वोट है तो 100 वोटर को जानते हैं और वोट डलवाते हैं। कांग्रेस में या किसी पार्टी में ऐसा कोई भी नहीं है जो पार्टी के नाम पे वोट डालता हो। नेता तो हैं, सब लोग टिकट लेते हैं, आते हैं, और टिकट भी उनको नहीं मिलती। और दूसरी बात, जहाँ तक जर्नलिस्ट की बात है,
क्वेश्चन बताइए ना।
हाँ, मैं कह रहा हूँ कैडर बेस नहीं है आपके।
ये तो आपने जवाब दिया।
नहीं, जब तक आप नहीं करोगे कैसे जीतेंगे। दूसरी बात जर्नलिस्ट की है, चौधरी, ठीक है सर,
ये लेक्चर मत
नहीं लेक्चर नहीं दूँ। चौधरी देवीलाल होते थे, वो कहते थे जर्नलिस्ट क्या हैं, बैलगाड़ी के नीचे चलने वाले कुत्ते हैं। वो सोचते हैं हम गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, एक्चुअल में ये नहीं है। ऐसे ही प्रोस्टिट्यूट कहा जाता है प्रेस को। तो दीज आर द फैक्ट। व्हाई नॉट टू, Now I'm saying, until you have to reform your party, nothing will happen.
वो suggestion है आपकी. Okay, now we'll take answers. There are a lot of questions. So let's start. Poornima, you start.
Give a career counselor.
No, I'm not giving career counseling. I just have 2 points. One on the laws is I think we in India journalists have no protection. Its freedom of the press is not a constitutionally guaranteed right in India, unlike other countries, especially in the West. We don't enjoy any freedom of speech, which is different from you guys. I mean, it's in the same bracket. Then defamation is a criminal offense. There's criminal defamation in India, which entails jail. You have laws like sedition, which are being retained in the newly passed codes as well. So one is the law point of it. The second is what this journalist asked about the sociological and what Jeetu was also talking about. It is a fact that the media leadership, most of the editors are upper caste. They suffer from certain kinds of biases, which they do not even realize that they have. Long time back, I started my career with the Pioneer. Great paper, but Vinod Mehta carried a picture of Mayawati in her nightgown in Kashiram's house. Now, would you do that to Sonia Gandhi? Would you do that to anybody who comes from the privileged class? You'll do that to her. The way we wrote about her, the way we wrote about Lalu Prasad Yadav, the way they were branded in a certain way, media definitely has a bias. Also, we do not have sociological understanding, and scholarship, of course, generally media suffers from a large amount of illiteracy.
Sorry, you want to say something? I just want to answer the 2024 question that was posed. Look, 2024, in a sense, if you look at the numbers per se, the only vote bank that went away from the BJP is the Dalits. They lost 4 to 5% of the Dalit vote. That cost them heavily, and they lost majorly in 2 states, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. And there are specific reasons for those states. Now it's normal service has resumed. Please understand, we are only talking about 10,000. In Bihar, pensions were raised to 1,100 rupees. Every group was targeted with monetary benefits for 6 months. Journalists cannot assess the impact that's going to have on the electorate. That's not, how much can you assess that? Is it going to be 160, 170, 200? It could be 200. In fact, it could have been even more, frankly. You've got one side with 46%. Yadavs and the Bihar is clear for the last 4 elections. Whoever Nitish goes with will win now. Simple. So 2024, in my view, was an aberration. I believe, and we should be seriously concerned about our democracy, about the role that money power is playing. We cannot underestimate it. It is completely distorting any conversation that we can have on other issues. Because when the monies are paid in the cash and the amounts that are paid, I'll just leave you with a thought. A sarpanch in Maharashtra, who I knew from the 1990s, told me, Sahib, me aure paise in his village, they had put 1 crore that he was to distribute among that village. In a Marathwada village, you are distributing 1 crore in cash. What chance does the other side have then? What chance? And it's not about Indians being foolish or Indians being... Anyone would be swayed. Anyone would be swayed when you have this kind of money being put. Because one lady told me this in Maharashtra. I said, sir, tumhala 1,500 rupees you're getting. Aren't you being bribed? Indians are clever. He said, sir, वो हमारा नेता जो है वो तो 50 करोड़ बनाता है और तुम हमारे 1500 को तुम कहते हो ब्राइब. That is the Indian voter today. They have realized that these gundas have looted them for years. थोड़ा तो हम भी पैसा बना ले election में. What that is doing for elections, God help us in the future.
No, Bertie, no cross talk. No.
Do you know the scale, sir? Do you know the scale?
Rajdeep, no. We can't have this. No, Hemendra, not like this, please. Professor Jha.
In fact, just responding to, what he said, that are the people fool? Dumb or what? Why you take them, look at them this way? People are not fool. They're very intelligent voter. In context of Bihar, the major issue was the credibility. Right? Now the bar was lowered so much, for the people in the Bihar politics, that whatever Nitish did in last 20 years, that was considered to be a great achievement. So that way, that credibility factor worked in his favor. And 2024, I think it was not aberration, as Mr. Sardesai was saying. I think that writing on the wall was very clear. People wanted to change the government. Why this didn't happen? There were many factors.
Pawan.
मुझे पूछा गया कि पहले हम सब ये सब करते थे, जर्नलिस्ट अब क्या करें? हेमेंद्र जी ने पूछा. आप वही करिए जो पहले करते थे, वो तो कर दीजिए. सीएजी की ड्राफ्ट रिपोर्ट्स अर्नब गोस्वामी लीक करता था. नेशन वांट्स टू नो. आप हमारे पीछे पड़ते थे. हम अपने मंत्रियों से इस्तीफे लेते थे. पहले का याद दिला दूं आपको, 10 साल पुरानी, 11 साल पुरानी बात है. 6 of our ministers, including a chief minister, we made them to resign because of media. And we were stupid. We shouldn't have done that. I agree now, in retrospect. लेकिन हमने किया, आपके कहने से किया. सीएजी रिपोर्ट्स, शुंगलू रिपोर्ट, फला रिपोर्ट, ढीमका रिपोर्ट, क्या हुआ उन रिपोर्ट्स का? मुझे बताइए ना. क्या हुआ 2G का? क्या हुआ CWG का? क्या हुआ कोल का? आई एम सॉरी, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आप ही सब जिम्मेदार हैं, लेकिन आप बहुत बड़े हद तक जिम्मेदार हैं. अपनी जिम्मेदारी से आप भाग नहीं सकते.
There are two questions that have got unanswered. So I'll use the privilege of the chair to answer them. But on what Pawan is saying is absolutely right. Now you look at the way, nothing has come out of the coal scam because they said that discretionary allotment was made. What is being done with Elon Musk and Starlink? Discretionary allotment. When such an allotment was made to Antriksh Devas, you took them to court. And they're running around as if they're criminals. But Elon Musk, you do the same thing. Discretionary allotment, you say, this is government's new policy. So that justifies everything. So things have changed and media is not questioning. The question that's got unanswered, but the author's also gone, is Arghya, who said that what is happening to skill levels or educational levels, scholarship levels in politics. Now, I can't answer for politicians, but in newsrooms, a terrible de-skilling has taken place. And I blame the education system. What happens is today, after 12th grade, people say, I want to be a journalist. And they do a 3-year or 4-year course where they become technicians. They're like plumbers and electricians. They just know how to make pages, how to give headlines, no history, no sociology, no chemistry, no physics, nothing, no perspective on society, very little. Everybody wants to be an anchor. If you're good looking, you'll become an anchor. If you're not so good looking, you'll become a crime reporter. So de-skilling has taken place in a big way. Not all crime reporters, but I'm saying that's what happens. You're a municipal reporter. But your question that, what should you tell children that should they go into journalism? By all means, but after doing a proper degree, educate yourself in analytical skills. But also say that if you want to tell them don't become a journalist, I'll give you 2 reasons why they should not become journalists. One, journalists are taught to totalize too quickly. They're like water spiders, cover large ponds and say, kya ho raha hai? People will ask you, if you're a journalist, I refuse to, I can't work in the IIC library. People will come and say, batao kya ho raha hai? How the hell do I know kya ho raha hai? So, you're supposed to give quick answers in black and white. Okay, that is one. And 2, what this does to you is it makes you a bad judge of people because it permeates your personal life and you start judging people in terms of, he must be good, he's bad, iski shakal aisi hai, inhone topi pehni, whatever. So I'm saying you become a bad human being actually if you're not careful. And most of us are not careful. So journalists are not good human beings. It's largely because of this, the work ethic permeates your personal life. This idea of totalizing quickly and making judgments. So that's what I wanted to tell you. But you've been a wonderful audience. And thank you very much, all of you. Shuma, please do the honors of thanking our panelists and IIC.
Yes, thank you very much to our wonderful panelists, Professor Jha, Mr. Khera, Poornima, Jitendra, and of course Bharat for moderating the whole discussion so skillfully. And some tough, very tough statements were made, and I think many of them justified regarding our profession and also the opposition a bit. So thank you, the audience. You've been wonderful, and thank you to IIC for its support. And thank you. Good night.